Welcome to the Practice Podcast, a show created by lawyers to help lawyers in life and business without all the complicated lawyer language. Let's welcome Bast Amron founders and your hosts, Jeff Bast and Brett Amron.
Hello, Brett. How are you? How are you this fine Monday
I told
afternoon?
you it wasn't going to sound as good.
How you doing, Jeff?
I thought that was a good. I'm well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
All right. Glad to be here.
Fine Monday afternoon.
I'm excited about our guest, and I also have a question for you,
All right.
as I often do.
All right.
What's something you've always wanted to do but haven't? I know you've done a lot. Many adventures.
I have run a 50-mile trail marathon.
50 mile, because you've run
Right.
a 50K.
Correct.
But you haven't done 50 mile.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
2026.
Maybe 2026?
Yeah.
That
All
is
right.
not my goal.
Well, it was one thing I
good.
haven't done that I'd like to do.
That voice you heard is our guest. But,
Yeah.
we'll-
How about you, Jeff? What's yours?
Mine's simpler, bungee jumping. I'd like to do it over a body of water too, in case it snaps. But I'm not sure that would protect me, but
Depends on when it snaps.
yeah. I'm getting a little nervous too, even just thinking about it.
Statistically, which is more dangerous, skydiving or bungee jumping?
I don't have that stat, but maybe we can look
check
it
with
up.
ChatGPT.
I'll check it out. That voice you hear is our special guest, Patty Tomasco. Patty is a partner in the Houston and New York offices of Quinn Emanuel. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the rest of the
It's
firm's
hard.
name.
They made it hard on purpose.
We
Yeah.
call it Quinn Emanuel. And she's one of the nation's most experienced practitioners in corporate insolvency and financial restructuring. With over 35 years of dedicated experience in bankruptcy, Patricia has, it's so weird calling you Patricia.
Yeah, you can call me Patty.
Patty has built a distinguished career representing debtors, creditors, committees, acquirers, stakeholders in complex Chapter 11 and Chapter 15 matters. She served as lead counsel in numerous high-profile cases, advising clients on strategy, risk, and business-driven solutions during times of financial transition. As a graduate of Rice University and South Texas College of Law in Houston, Patty is admitted to practice in Texas, New York, and multiple federal courts across the country. Her reputation for strong advocacy and deep subject matter expertise has made her a trusted advisor to clients facing some of their most critical financial challenges. Welcome, Patty.
Thank you, Jeff. It's really great to be here.
Yeah.
And as you know, you are my favorite law firm in Miami.
Oh, well, thank you. We've had the good fortune of co-counseling a few cases with Patty and her firm, and it's just a pleasure to work with them. We have a lot of fun. We work hard, but we have fun.
Correct.
That's key. So what would be your answer to the question?
Well, I was going to say skydiving, but then I thought about it, and it's one of those things that I think I should want to do. But probably it's to go to cooking school, to have a formal training in cooking.
Nice.
Because I love to cook.
Like culinary school?
Yeah, to go to culinary
nice.
school.
Wow.
Because I can cook, but there's like some things I don't know, and I just think my technique could improve greatly if I had formal training.
What's one of the things that you would love to get better at by going to culinary school? Not a specific maybe it's a dish, but a technique.
Well, I mean, I do try a lot of techniques. I don't know if there's any one thing, but I would think that obviously emulsions, also molecular gastronomy is something fun that I think I would love to learn. Like making the little beads, caviar beads of like balsamic vinegar or something like that. I think that would be fun to do.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Because cooking relaxes me.
Nice. Do you have a go-to meal or dish that you cook?
I have a few. My husband really likes ossobuco. If you're turned off by veal, maybe you don't like that, and that's one that he likes for me to make. He also requests that I make liver and onions, so you figure out if he has good taste. I mean, he loves. But yeah, it's we make a lot of steak and salmon at home, right? So,
all right, I love that. Culinary school, that sounds fun. So, your college and law school were all in Houston. Were you born in Houston, or are you
No,
lifelong? How'd you end up?
I was born in San Antonio, and my dad was in the Air Force, so lived all around, but went to high school in San Antonio as well. So ended up back in San Antonio.
Oh, Okay, nice. And then Houston, have you been practicing there your whole career?
No, in the middle of my career, we moved to Austin to raise the kids there. And then the law firm I was working for dissolved and sort of left me stranded in Austin, which is not a very robust bankruptcy market, but it was fine. It was fine. Practiced there for 20 years and then moved back to Houston when the oil and gas cases started filing there, and we developed the Houston, I say we, a lot of people helped develop the Houston Chapter 11 sort of market.
Which for the non-bankruptcy lawyers out there, Houston is definitely a hot market for complex business insolvency. So are you, backing up a little, were you one of those kids who knew they wanted to be a lawyer, always on your path to law school? Or tell us how you end up in law school and practicing.
In high school, I was identified as a pre-engineering student.
Identified?
Yes.
You identified as or they, somebody identified you?
They identified me. They. My first major at Rice was electrical engineering and computer science. So I had a big science bent starting college, but I found I didn't like it, and it did not like me. I liked math a lot. But the rest of the time, I really was more interested in sort of anything to do with logic or statistics was what the courses I ended up gravitating towards. And that eventually led to a different degree in business at Rice, which is what I ended up with.
And straight to law school?
Straight to law school. Didn't plan on being a lawyer at all. But I was working part-time as a bookkeeper for a law firm. And they suggested I go to law school because I didn't know what else to do with myself.
You were working as a bookkeeper when you were in law school or when you were
No, when I was in college.
Okay.
My senior year in college, I was working as a bookkeeper for a law firm.
Oh.
I have no idea how I ended up here, really.
I don't know if she means in this podcast studio or
all of it.
So how you go to law school, and did you know then you said you didn't want to be a lawyer, but eventually you wanted to become a lawyer or thought you'd become a lawyer. So what practice area did you think you wanted to be? Was it always bankruptcy, or did you kind of find your way there? How'd that happen?
Yeah, when I was my first year in law school, I was working as a file clerk for a law firm. And they found me bartending. That's how I got that job. I was a bartender at a restaurant in Houston called Bear Paredes. And some lawyers came in and said that they were looking for a file clerk and that I could make more money doing that. And since they heard I was in law school, it was like the summer before I started law school. And so I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And so I went to be a file clerk at a small personal injury firm. And they had a client who needed to file Chapter 11, and they didn't know how to do it. So they sent me to the court to figure out what to do.
They sent you to the court to figure out what to do. I love that.
So I went to the bankruptcy clerk's office in Houston. This would have been 1985.
When you actually had to go to the physical clerk's office.
Right.
I went to the physical clerk's office,
Right.
and I said, my bosses want me to figure out how to put a company into Chapter 11. And they kind of laughed at me, but they were patient, and I eventually filled out all the forms and started researching various things. And so we put it was a office building, James Plaza 2, and so we put the office building into Chapter 11. So as time went on, I was working, and then I figured out that I was supposed to be doing this thing called summer clerking or summer associate, and I had no idea. And so I was like, well, why don't you call me, instead of a file clerk, call me like a summer associate? And they said to me, and I'm not kidding, well, we would never hire a woman lawyer.
No, you're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
Wow. This is 80,
This is 85, 86.
somewhere around there?
Yeah, since probably summer of 86.
We would never hire a woman. Wow.
So
was that your last day? No.
Well, it's pretty close to my last day. It was
Wow,
because
that's
I was
remarkable.
Yeah, no, I was not raised that way. I was not raised that. I was raised that I'm a brain, you're a brain. We don't have our brains don't have genders, right? So I went and looked on the job board, and I had done this Chapter 11 case, and so there was a bankruptcy clerkship opening, like for a fall clerk. And it was at Scheinfeld, Maley and Kay. And so I went and had my interview, and they were like, "What are you interested in bankruptcy? What is your experience?" And I told them about, figuring out how to file a Chapter 11 petition for James Plaza 2. And,
Love that.
And he hired me on the spot. So I was, that's how it started.
Then you became at that point, you're a bankruptcy lawyer.
I was
right?
pure. I loved it because of the logic of it, and if you're somewhat religious, also because of the redemptive quality of bankruptcy.
I like that. I'm not religious, but I do believe we need more opportunities for redemption in our society, and that is one of the few areas where it still exists.
It's the definition of grace, right? So, yeah.
I like that. Is redemption? Redemption is the definition
Well,
of grace?
you show grace, you show compassion and sympathy to people and recognize that making a mistake should not doom you to failure for the rest of your life.
Right.
So
that's why pencils have erasers, right?
Exactly.
We make mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. So you're practicing, so you start practicing at this firm, Scheinfeld, Maley and Kay, and then did you stay with them through law school and then go to work for them?
Yeah, I never even thought about leaving. I was just
so you never really even did on-campus interviews or any of that process? You just...
No, just did it. Just felt like home, right? It was the area of law that I enjoyed. I love the people. I love bankruptcy people in general because of, sort of like the kind of practice it is. It's very logical. It's very fast-paced. And, yeah, so we got along, and I never left until the firm dissolved in 2000, 2001 timeframe.
And by that point, you were...
I was in Austin. Yeah,
I
lived in Austin.
You're a partner were you a partner at the firm? And the firm dissolves. I've never been involved in... I've never been a lawyer at a firm that dissolved on me. So tell us about that experience.
It's sort of like your parents getting a divorce. But my parents hadn't gotten a divorce when I was young. But I don't know. It was a little bit like your foundation starts to fall away from you, and everything you thought about the work world turns out to be incorrect, right? Because you always think your job's going to be there forever. It was quite stressful. It's very stressful.
Wow.
So from there, did you transition to Houston at that point? Or
No, I had kids. At this point, my kids would have been elementary school age. 2 kids.
2 kids. So you 2 kids, and you find out your firm is dissolved. Like,
yeah.
I just want to dig a little bit on the dissolution thing. So how do you find out, and what was the time frame? Like,
so yeah, at this point, the large firms, the really mega firms, had started figuring out that they could do debtor work. In the past, everything, if you were like a partner at Aiken Gump and you had a client that said, we're upside down, we got a maturity coming up, you would call a boutique firm to handle the debtor work because it was considered to be, number one, it was considered to be unsavory, and it created a lot of conflicts with your other clients. So there were 2 problems that needed to be solved. One is the reputation of doing debtor work. And then the second part was, how do you deal with the conflicts of every creditor being technically adverse? Right. And a lot of those creditors would also be clients of the firm. So as you know, over time, the conflicts world of bankruptcy and the conflicts world generally evolved. We have advanced waivers, and so that, if you call that like a technology, that has developed over time. And then the other thing is maybe a more loose interpretation of what it means to represent an interest adverse to the estate. And we would always say that a creditor was adverse to the estate. So if you represented any creditor, you could not be a debtor. So 2 things sort of bubbled up at the same time, where the large firms were like, well, we can start doing debtor work because we can get advanced waivers from all of our financial clients, and we can also go in and use conflicts counsel and a kind of a loosened view of what it means to represent an interest adverse to the estate. And so just working through those, the big firms started poaching some of the big Houston partners at Scheinfeld. And when those big partners got poached away, the sort of engine of the firm started to die. We had just at that point finished the Dow Corning case, which was taking up a lot of the time of the firm. And another reason was that people were so busy working on Dow Corning, they weren't really out there getting new work. So there's always that tension between working on the case you have and making sure you have
Another case right.
coming in.
Wow.
Right. So that's what I learned from it.
And what'd you do? You just picked up the phone and called some of these big firms? Or, I mean, now you got 2 kids you got to feed. And
Well, I mean, yeah, so I was able to do a pretty mid-sized debtor practice in Austin, just working for a different regional firm. And that's what I did.
Nice. So you survived I mean, I think for the lawyers, most of them find a home, right? It's probably more the staff that has a harder time, rebuilding after, a law firm's demise, but I don't know.
I don't know what happened to the main staff in Houston, but I think everybody found jobs.
Right.
Right.
Well,
So then the oil and gas cases come along,
Yes.
right?
Right.
And
So
not put Houston on the map, so to speak. Houston was already on the map, but really exploded on the scene of the bankruptcy scene.
yeah, no, because we could see the royal we could see that there was going to be stress in the oil and gas, and then at the same time there was this huge resentment in Houston over Enron filing in the Southern District of New York about a company that was so identified with Houston not filing in Houston. And I think that the judges started to try to identify, why that was, what was it going to take for the big debtor firms, now Kirkland, Paul Weiss, Latham, to file cases in Houston, knowing that most of the companies that were getting ready to be distressed were based in Houston.
Right.
So we're going to get into, there's a scandal surrounding that part of the timeline. But, I think that parts of it were very, very sincere. And, why do you choose a particular bankruptcy court over another one? It's because of competence and predictability, right?
and speed, right?
And speed, yeah. And access. I think access and speed. Right? Access and speed are kind of like the same thing. And so, if the court wanted to recognize that, wanted to make sure that Houston companies or Texas companies had a place to go.
Yeah.
And that they didn't have to go to Delaware or New York, which, by the way, adds to the expense and delay of any case, right? To have to travel.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and this is before the days of video hearings, video conferencing, right?
Is there anything specific that you think that the bench did, that sort of opened the door to that, meaning made these companies feel more comfortable of saying, you know what? And the lawyers feeling more comfortable saying, hey, we have the competence, the speed, the access. We have it all here. We can handle this.
Well, the one thing that they did is they created the complex case panel, which is 2 judges would receive the 2 judges who were interested in Chapter 11 cases and who wanted to do Chapter 11 cases that of size and complexity, and they volunteered to be on this complex case panel. Well, that was a signal to, before then, you could kind of pick your judge based on the divisions within the district. So like, I don't know.
Was it one judge per division?
One judge per division. So, for example, you could Lynn Energy filed in the Victoria division, which meant that you were going to get Judge Jones, right? So if you filed in the Houston division but designated the case as complex, you would get either Jones or Isger at that time. And now you get either Perez or Lopez. So same kind of concept that they used so that the judges who were interested in being more accessible, giving quicker hearings, understanding the complex financial situation. Correct.
So it would be, if you filed and designated as complex, you would get one of those 2 judges?
Correct.
That's good. I mean, that's a pretty bold move by the court to say, hey, we're open for business.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And
it worked.
It worked.
Yeah,
it worked. And then it got, mired in scandal. But it's still working,
We're not going to touch the scandal. You can read about it if you want to.
Yeah.
Google it. That's exciting. And how'd you find your way to Quinn Emanuel?
So I was at Jackson Walker when we were approached, to be local counsel at least for Kirkland on some of these oil and gas cases, probably in large part because we had a pretty good reputation for oil and gas, and we knew the courts in Houston pretty well. We had good relationships with all the judges and all of that. And so in 2017, we started filing cases, oil and gas cases, in the Southern District of Texas. I lived in Austin. But I was just going there every week. And by this time, my kids were grown, either out of college, all of that. Mm-hmm. So there was no tether to Austin anymore. And so my husband's from Houston. And so we just decided to move back for convenience. Mm-hmm. And then once I moved back, I was still, doing a lot of local counsel work. And I was approached by Quinn Emanuel because I had been working with them on some cases, and I was like, well, this is very interesting. And so I took a big leap of faith and went.
Well, and it's worked out, right? 2017, yes. You haven't looked back. Exciting stuff. And you also are admitted in New York, and you're a member of both New York office and the Houston office. How'd you end up admitted in New York?
Oh, this was in 2000, back, just remember when Enron filed in New York, and New York was like the center of the restructuring universe, and Texas has reciprocity. So it was kind of like, it meant that you didn't have to hire local counsel in New York. You could just go to court. At that time, I actually had a couple of cases, one in state court and one in federal court, that were fairly active. So I just thought about it and said I should just get admitted, especially for the one that was in state court. I was a little worried that I was going to go to trial, and I didn't have local counsel. And so it was kind of a panic move. Let's just go get admitted. Let's do our reciprocity.
I didn't know Texas has reciprocity with New York. I'm a little surprised at that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's with Florida too, isn't it?
No, Florida doesn't have reciprocity with anyone.
They don't?
No, they don't. They don't want people moving down here.
Oh,
like the old adage was, they didn't want people moving down here to retire and just have to, and could just wave in. That was the reasoning back.
Oh, I see.
By the way, it turned out to be prescient because a lot of folks have moved here from other places, but they're just taking the bar and getting in. You paved this path to, partnership and success and restructuring, all while you're raising kids. Mm-hmm. What's your secret? How'd you do that?
I think it was probably kind of convenient that I was stuck in a relatively middle market in Austin while the kids were in those formative years. So it wasn't like I was trying to, really be international bankruptcy lawyer extraordinaire at that time. I was doing the dot-com bubble burst really kind of helped me because there were a lot of companies that were startups and, 30, 40 million in debt that needed restructuring, and that was my bread and butter, right? Tech companies filing bankruptcy, And so really fun issues, every tech company has a different thing. It was a lot of fun. So, but it wasn't like I was, I've never been a slacker, but I wasn't billing like 3,000 hours a year either.
Are you billing 3,000 hours a year now? I hope you're not billing 3,000 hours. No, good. And are any of the kids going to be lawyers? Is your husband a lawyer?
No.
No, that's right. He's not.
Yeah, I convinced everybody in my family that being a lawyer was horrible. Nobody's a lawyer. My daughter is a doctor and my son is a weatherman.
Exciting stuff. I love that. Congrats on that. I've dug on that with her. I've gotten some insight on the weatherman. It's good to have a weatherman in your family, especially if you live in a storm-prone region.
Correct. Yes. No, he can give you a micro forecast if you bribe him, for sure.
If you bribe him, right. What, do you have to cook for him? Is that how it works?
Yes, his favorite is chicken pot pie, and I can make a chicken pot pie in under an hour, which is something I became good at.
Wow. Okay. How long does it take an average person to make a chicken pot pie?
Probably a couple hours.
Oh,
but
really?
because that was his favorite food. So whenever you would get like an award or something, I'd say like, well, make your favorite food for dinner. And his was always chicken pot pie. And you're always like, oh my God, it's going to take forever. So I just got really fast at it.
Let's go back to that for a minute. What about cooking relaxes you, and why do you enjoy it? Like, what about it?
Well, I think you connect with nature in a way when you cook, like when you're chopping the vegetables and you're thinking about the fact that this thing, like celery, okay, the way you have to chop something is, and then like trying to get better at, like really making fine dice of the onions. And it's like, and it gets you out of the thinking about your cases, and you're thinking about something else. And it's also something that completely occupies your brain, especially if you're like me and you're like, Evelyn Wood speed cooking, like you're trying to. Right?
I get that.
So you're trying to get dinner on the table. People are, sitting around the table going, where's our food? And you're going, I'm going. Well, in that moment, you can't think about work, and you're thinking about cooking.
Yeah, it's like meditative. Right?
And then everybody appreciates it. And not everybody appreciates what you do as a lawyer.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It seems like you really do want to jump out of an airplane. Yeah. Even though you're nervous about it, which you should be. So the question is, why? What draws you to that? And don't say the practice of law, but that would be a fair answer. I'm teasing.
Because I think, I don't necessarily think I should jump out of an airplane.
Yeah.
But I do sort of wonder if my risk averse nature holds me back. Right? I mean, I just think that's true. And one of the things that being a lawyer helps me do is like I have no fear in the courtroom or about what I do as a lawyer, but I have fear like jumping out of a plane. At the beginning of my career, I was very afraid.
Sure.
But now I'm not afraid.
Yeah. Fear is an emotion, right?
Yeah. And so you kind of think about, what else could I overcome fear-wise? What else could I get over the fear of doing?
Right. Just so you know, I looked it up. The skydiving versus bungee jumping. Sources claim that bungee jumping has a rate of about 1 death per 500,000 jumps, and skydiving has about 1 death per 100,000 jumps.
Oh,
so
I see.
Switch
other
to
sources say both are roughly 1 in 500,000. As to injury, the data is scarcer. But one study notes that in an extreme variant like base jumping, injury rates are 5 to 8 times that of regular skydiving. So, complicated answer. I think they're both
so bungee
dangerous,
jumping is safer.
I guess, but it's marginal.
I think you should switch to bungee jumping.
I did skydiving once, and I thought, okay, I don't need to do that again. I check that box.
So it wasn't. But did you feel like you had conquered a fear?
No, I didn't really have a fear. It wasn't like something. It wasn't on my list or anything. It was just more like a family thing. My father-in-law went skydiving, I think, on his 70th birthday, and then decided he wanted to do it every year, and he would do it with the kids. As the grandkids would age up to 18, they would go skydiving, and so my wife and I did it. My thing is I'm prone to motion sickness, and they did this whole spinning thing, and that just did me in. Had I known about that, I would have said don't do that, because I probably would have been fine, but once you're nauseous, it's no fun.
Were you spinning while you were
in the air before they released the chute? You're kind of like spinning, and it's more like So anyway,
I'm mostly prone to being seasick.
Yeah,
but not necessarily spinning. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know. You might let them know on your skydiving journey not to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just in the back of my mind. Something that people do that I'm kind of like, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah. It's actually, not that we're going to spend this much time on skydiving, but there's not like an act. You're strapped into somebody and you approach the edge, and like you don't have to get on the edge and jump off yourself. To me, I think that would be more difficult. You're kind of, you're attached to someone, and it kind of just happens. It's not like, okay, stand on the edge of this building and jump off. That would be, I think, very difficult. But so we want to hear about it. go skydiving and give us a call.
Yeah, it's not going to be anytime soon. I mean,
How about culinary school? Would that be maybe?
Yeah,
soon?
this is one that I really do want to do because I do think that I would enjoy cooking even more if I knew what I was doing. You know what I mean? If I knew if I knew that, I mean, so I cook just sort of intuitively, but sometimes you're like, I wonder if this could have been better if I'd lowered the temperature. Like I know there's a lot I need to learn.
Right. It's a science. It's an art and a science.
Right.
An art where the piece disappears, where people get to enjoy it. Beautiful. Yeah. And it's communal. So I like it.
Yeah.
Brett?
Yep.
Any final words on cooking, culinary school? Is it in your cards?
No, it is not.
How about you, Jeff? What do you want?
Culinary school? I would love to learn to cook more. I would like to learn more about like gardening and farming and plants. Like I like to garden, but I do not know what I'm doing at all.
I'm the same way.
I'm probably less of a gardener than you are of a cook, but I'd love to learn more about gardening. There's a lot I'd like to learn.
Yeah. I think gardening's fun. We had a garden in Austin. We don't have one in Houston because we have kind of a very small yard, but we had chickens and a garden. And
oh, that sounds like fun. I would love to have a full farm like that. All right, that's for another episode one day. Brett, are you gonna farm? So what do you want to start?
I ran past some roosters this morning.
You did?
Yeah, some wild roosters. You're in Miami if you see that and you hear them.
Yeah,
the roosters are everywhere.
They remind me of the chickens we had in Austin. Yeah. I hear them, and I don't mind chickens at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were our pets.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I have animals, it will be more dogs.
Yeah. Well, you already have 3.
I have 3. I will have more.
You can have.
I know. Maybe
once the dogs realize that the chickens are your pets, they don't eat them.
Yeah.
But it takes a month.
It takes a while.
It takes a few chickens.
Keep the chickens protected from the dogs. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
This is fun, Patty. I didn't think we'd be talking about chickens and skydiving, but this is how life goes.
Thank you, Patty.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review and share the show with your friends and family. And subscribe. And Christina.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you, Christina.
For more information on this show and other resources, visit fastamron.com and connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram @fastamron.